counterattack, like the fast break in basketball, is probably the most exciting part of water polo. By definition, it's the shortest term of offensive play in the game, and it's very similar to the fast break in basketball. It comes from the turnover, the stolen pass, the shot, the offensive foul. Whenever you make a quick recovery of the ball from the defense, and you move from the defense into the fast break, the counterattack. Generally, good counterattacks will last between 9 and 12 seconds, and it ends with either getting a man free, maintaining him free through to an open shot, or until it is over and you simply control the ball and move through the transition and into your front court offense. The counterattack is probably the most difficult phase for players to learn. And interestingly enough, it's only 9 or 12 seconds of offense, but it is tough to learn. It will take probably good players 2 or 3 years within a team plan to really master the counterattack. It's such a critical part of the offense. The recognition has got to be tremendous, because any turnover in the counterattack will probably end in a goal at the other end, a goal against you. So a counterattack requires complete ball control, tremendous readouts throughout the field of play, and in an effort to maintain a free man through to a shot. All right, now, why do we counterattack? And I've already mentioned the main reason, and that is to get up with a free man and keep him free through to a unguarded shot, and that would be the classic score in water polo, and as I say, one of the exciting things to see. Another major reason for counterattacking is just simply to get your offense moved up very, very rapidly. Good counterattack teams will be down, as we'd mentioned, in 9 to 12 seconds. And it just stands to reason that if you do not maintain a man through to a free shot, if you're set up, if you're through your transition and ready to attack the goal within 12 seconds of the start of the 35-second clock, you're going to get more front court offense than the team bringing the ball down slowly and setting up. Tremendous amounts of time are lost by teams that do not counterattack or are slow at the end of the counterattack to follow through the transition and get into their front court offense. So the counterattack is really there also to move your offense up. And if you consider that over the course of a ball game, you may have 10 counterattacks, and they save you each time 5 seconds of opportunity in the front court, well, that's 50 seconds over a course of a game, and it may result in 1 or 2 goals, even if you don't get them in the counterattack. So first 2 reasons: to counter to get a man free, counter to get your front court set up. The other reason is just simply, with a well-conditioned team, to wear the other team down. If you're substituting intelligently, if the team always counterattacks on each turnover, and that is the key, to always counter on each turnover, you can punish a team, and as I say, you can use it to your advantage there. Also, it's a psychological advantage, I believe. Good counterattack teams are always taking the ball down the tank, with tremendous aggressiveness, and certain teams may start falling off a little in their own front court offense to start protecting against the counter. If you're well known for your counterattacking ability, it may affect the other team's ability in the front court psychologically, and I think that's really important, particularly in the latter stages of the game, where they may start falling off and really not trying to press an offensive advantage because they know the counter's coming right back down their throats. Finally, it's a great opportunity to get people kicked out. When you're moving down and moving in front of people, it's a great opportunity to obtain kickouts. And so there's many advantages to a good counterattack, and it's, as I say, a difficult part of the game to learn, but I think one that all teams need to start practicing in the earliest stages of their season. All right, all 6 players need to get out in the counterattack each time. Now, there's certain philosophies of counterattacking, and quite honestly, what we used in the United States Olympic team vary some for European teams. They will not always counterattack. They will go on select situations. Offensive turnovers certain shots where they feel they can obtain an advantage and they'll go. The other times they may not. But our style was to go every time, if nothing else, just simply to put the pressure on, make the other team swim, and get our front court moved up. And this was always our theory. All right, now, there are certain cardinal rules that must always be followed in a counterattack to take full advantage of that 9 to 12 seconds of transition from defense to offense, which can be so critical in maybe getting a goal. The first thing is that in our system, the goalkeeper is always the quarterback in the counterattack. He will make the first pass down the tank, provided the ball is turned over or received within 10 meters of his goal. What I'm saying is if the ball is outside of 10 meters, it would not be smart to go back to the goalkeeper and then go back to the front court possibly with a pass, because counterattacking is time use, and the longer you take to get the ball down the tank, the more defensive players are there. So if you're out at 10 meters, whatever the field player is, he should make the first pass down the tank. But other than that, if it's from 10 meters and in, the ball should always be put to the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper should be moving laterally at the start of the counterattack when a field player has intercepted the ball, should be moving laterally away from the defense, and the ball should then be put to free water carefully. You never want to take the chance of putting it back and giving it to a player that has been countered off of. You put the ball back to the goalkeeper and he makes the pass. Just like with a 2-meter man in water polo or with a quarterback in football, the specialist in the counterattack at passing is the goalkeeper. He's the one that will make the best passes because he's trained to make the best passes. He's the one that will recognize the free people earlier because he's trained to know where to look. Besides that, if a player, say at 3-4 meters, does not give the ball back to the goalkeeper but decides he's going to pass it himself, he's holding himself out of the front court offense, because he may not pass the ball till the rest of the team is down in the front court. And if that's the case, you're working 5-on-6 players, or at least 5-on-5 rather than 6-on-6 until he gets himself down. So we don't let anyone be lazy by being the one that wants to pass the ball in the counterattack. The goalkeeper is the quarterback in the counter. Okay, now, he will get the ball up immediately once he receives it high, so that the field players breaking in the counter can look and see and know that the ball is in the cage and it has not been delivered yet. They need to be able to see where the ball is. The goalkeeper's next key or clue will be always to look deep. It makes no sense for a goalkeeper who can deliver the ball down to the other 4-meter area to deliver the ball only 4 or 5 yards out in front of his own cage. The deeper the pass, the more effective the counterattack, because it's just time expediency. The deeper the pass, and the ball moves faster than the swimmer, as we all know, the deeper the pass, the greater chance you have of dealing with fewer defensive players. So that every second that goes by in the counterattack, the chance is for the defense to have more players getting back to defend against the counter. So the goalkeeper's first critical thing is to look deep, and he needs to look deep left, he needs to look deep right, he needs to look deep down the middle. He needs to be aware of where the opposing goalkeeper is, but the idea is to release the ball as deeply as possible in the counterattack. The shortest pass that a goalkeeper should make in a counter would be at half court. And I can almost guarantee you that anything short of half court will probably be no more than just simply a transition to a front court offense. And I say that if the goalkeeper cannot find a pass in the counter, then he might as well just hold on to the ball, let the offense make the transition, then make the safe pass down, and get the play going from there. Okay, so the goalkeeper is the quarterback. He is the important man. All right, the next key pass is the field player pass. Again, in my opinion, you cannot go over 3 passes in a counterattack and hope to maintain a free man. The key is the goalkeeper pass being thrown deep and on the money, and if it's not to a breakaway, if we've got to make a second pass, the person who receives the ball from the goalkeeper must be prepared to kick up hard, look across the tank, and make the next play. In this case, if it's a deep square, if the square is within, say, 7 meters of the goal, we'll generally have the player that receives it just turn and go, and we will just demonstrate that in drills later. But anytime you square out earlier than that, you are scoring to possibly keep a one on no one alive that maybe the goalkeeper could not hit. You may see a player who is up but being guarded closely, and if you make that square and if you're outside of the 7-meter area and you receive the ball, your first move is always to kick up with your legs hard so that you cannot be fouled and dropped off of immediately, so that you can make the pass without being fouled, and you always look diagonally, because all good things in water polo happen diagonally. If a free break is coming, it will probably be coming down the middle. If not, it'll be coming far side, and in a few moments we will discuss the lead break principle. And if you look diagonally, you can pick up a free man. You may pick up the lead break. You will pick up the lead break on the far side. If there's nothing in either way in case, then you can always look immediately to your right or to your left, depending upon which side of the pool you're on, and can always check the ball off to the other lead break position. So the first 2 passes in a counterattack are critical, because again, everything is time expediency, and every pass you add in the counterattack, the defense is adding another man, to the situation. All right, now, those are some of the cardinal rules of setting up and starting the counter. These are some of the reasons we counter. These are some of the things that we look for, such as the goalkeeper commanding it, the square outs, and all of this sort of thing. But we will now demonstrate these different views in the water, so you really get an idea of what we're talking about. We're going to take it through step by step and just look and see what really makes a counterattack work. And then after that, we are going
in the balance of this volume, and particularly and specifically in volume 2,
we'll take you through shooting structures in the front court at the end of the counterattack. We will take you through how to get there from the one end to the other as you move through. We'll show scrimmage drills. We will show who we are really wanting to go off of, and really set the entire picture. Just before we do that, let me just say this. Every counter in our system, as I say, we counter everything. Every turnover we counter, whether we think there is a possibility of getting a man free or not, and I'm not going to go over that again. I've told you why we do that. But the people and the situations that we really concentrate to get free from would be, we always come off the shooter. We always counter off the shooter. We always counter off the 2-meter man, because they're both vulnerable. The shooter's vulnerable because they like to look at their own shot. The 2-meter man's vulnerable because he is in the vertical, and as a guard you can be and have your legs up and be at least in a semi-horizontal position. We always counter off the offensive turnover, the offensive foul, because that is one of the greatest places to get a breakaway, off the offensive foul. Finally, depending upon the type of defense we're playing, we may be shading in certain areas slightly into a lane, and of course players that are being laned are vulnerable to the counter as well. So that's what there's where we're working to get free. And once we kick into the counter, it is whitewater swimming the entire way. The maximum effort must be made, and there must be maximum concentration from the goal down the field of play. And once the ball is delivered deep, the final concentration must be in the last 7 meters. Once that ball's down there, you've got to aggressively attack the defense and aggressively attack the cage with the ball. You cannot start easing back in that last 7 meters, because that last 7 meters will determine not only are you going to keep a man free, but will also determine the amount of momentum you have to really put the ball in the cage. All right, let's move to the pool now and take a look at a number of the drills that we would use. We'll just kind of set up how it works, and I think when we're done, you'll have a pretty clear picture of what we feel to be the most outstanding tactical counterattacking system in the world today. All right, now at poolside, we will start looking at some of those cardinal rules that come up in the counterattack, some of the things we want to understand before we really take a long look at the drills that would go to build a counterattack. All right, we said a little bit earlier, we want to get free off of shooters. There's certain places we want to get free shooters. Perimeter shooter would be one. Let's take a look at that now. Countering the perimeter shooter. There's the foul, the RB, a shot, we're off of him, and again the start of the counter. Right, we can also counter off the inside shooter, and here we go there. There comes the inside drive, ball's on the water, the shot takes place, and we're off of him hard, and he gets to his back. Other man we always want to counter off of is the 2-meter man, because he's working hard, he's in the vertical, we have a chance to get our legs up and get off of him. Here we go there. There's a shot, and we burn him, and out we come. One of the very best places would be off of the offensive foul. This is almost a sure breakaway from the perimeter, because the person who commits the offensive foul generally thinks he is not fouled, wants to check it out with the referee, and if the defensive player who has an opportunity probably to see the flag a little easier is really alert, he should be able to get free on this at all times. Here we go. The whistle, the offensive foul, the ball's put over to the point of the foul, and we get the breakaway. All right, finally, we look at another great place to counter, and that's if we're laning cross pool in a lane to give us a little advantage on the side away from the ball. And if the ball is turned over, this is an excellent place to counter and get free as well. Let's look at that. Here comes the pass. It's intercepted. We give it to the goalkeeper, who's moved out away from the cage, as we described earlier, and he hits the free break. Steal the ball in the field. Following another cardinal rule, if it's within 10 meters of the cage, we want the goalkeeper to make the pass, not the field player. The goalkeeper will move laterally to free water to get away from the defense, pick that ball up, hold it high, and be ready to make the next pass. Let's take a look at that situation. Here we go. The ball comes in. It's stolen. He's threatened. The man starts to attack the goalie. He's moved to free water. It's up high, and we set the counterattack. Again, we do not want the player who steals the ball to make that pass. We want him in the counter, and unless it's outside of 10 meters. Another cardinal rule in setting up a counterattack, the square out. Something we developed, maybe 5-6 years ago with the Olympic team. It's a time saver. It makes the counter move quicker. We break away from the defensive player when the defensive player has position. We break away to the ball with a 90-degree turn, right or left. We call it a square out. We do not bow out. The purpose of the square out is to enable the goalkeeper to throw the ball to safe water and to have the feeling of throwing it earlier, just like a quarterback making a sideline pass, where he can almost throw it ahead of the square out and to a point where we know that the field player will get to it. And what this enables us to do is, by getting to the ball on the square out, we have a little bit longer. As we kick up hard from the square, we have a little bit longer to make the second pass, the field pass. Recalling we said how important the first two passes are. Now the goalie can practically read the square out. He sees where the defense is and simply knows that that man, because of the position of the defensive player on him, will be executing a square out. And as soon as he sees the shoulders hunch and the legs start up, he feels free to launch the ball. It buys maybe a full second over the old system of bowing out. And we will look at the bow out in a minute to see what some of the handicaps of it are. All right, we will take a look at the square out. All right, there's the shot. The defense is on the man. He's taking to center court, the hard right angle. The ball's delivered early on the right arm, and the player is up hard with the legs, kicking up high so that he can make the pass. We don't want him to be fouled and dropped off of there, which is a favorite defensive technique. We want those first two passes to be able to be thrown and thrown immediately, because we're buying time in the counterattack. And this is what is so important about a square out over a bow out. The goalkeeper has the guts, the willingness to deliver the ball early, and he'll deliver it deep. Now, these are mid-court passes, the shortest pass we would throw in a counterattack, because anything short of, as we've said earlier, would just as well forget the counter, because the second pass would have to travel too far. But when you get to deep water, when you get down within 4 and 5 meters of the cage, believe me, you need the hard square out for the goalie to have the desire to deliver the ball. All right, let's look at the same thing, and we will look at it from the near side here. Here they come. Here they're driving now. And there is the hard square. The ball was delivered a little late, but right on the money. And again, we're up high to make the next pass. All right, let's take a look at a bow out. And this is something that we've really discouraged our players from doing, although I would say that 90% of the water polo players in the world still in a counterattack execute what we call a bow. We call it a bow because it's like a rainbow or a bow and arrow. A bow to shoot arrows. We make a gradual turn to the outside, generally rolling to our back. Now, it's my feeling that goalkeepers are very hesitant. First of all, the rules have been changed. They didn't used to be able to throw the ball over halfway. Now they can throw down to the other 4-meter line. And we've trained goalies to make deep passes, but they can become very hesitant about throwing those passes if they're fearful that they might be intercepted. And as we again said earlier in this film, a turnover in the counterattack can be just disastrous, particularly if you're countering hard off of a deep shooter or the 2-meter man. We're going to look at the bow out and see why we don't like it, and then in turn what we would rather see there. Okay, here goes the bow out. Here he's coming down the field. The defensive man has got position. He starts going to the side, and there again, any bad pass, also that defensive player can read, and when that man gets on his back, he knows that that the goalkeeper wants eye contact, and if he's in any position and feels comfortable about that 4-meter line, he can slide right in front and steal the ball. Let's look at the same thing from this side. And here he comes down, and it's just a big gradual bow. He's on his back, and again, it's a face-off pass, and then in fact was stolen. Now we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to execute a square out deep. We'll execute a square out. We'll see how it's a safer pass and how the goalie is freer and feels freer to deliver it early. Square outs need to be 90 degrees. They need to be sharp. They need to be able to be read by the goalkeeper. The deep square out versus the deep bow out. Here comes the deep square out. Same thing, but now, boom, there's the 90 degree. The ball is thrown early, right on the money, and we do have a safe pass. Again, it's like a receiver in football. The defensive back may know that he's going to make that move, but he doesn't know when he's going to make it, and that's the key. The quarterback, meaning the goalie in this case, reads that body out and knows pretty much distance-wise where to look for it. He can deliver that ball out there free and safely literally every time. Let's look at it again from this side. Same situation. We're coming down hard, and there is that square, and the ball is right there on the money immediately. Very, very nice. The next things now we want to look at in the counter is the structures we'll end up in. First of all, we're going to look at the pure breakaway. And again, intelligent defenses, alert defenses oftentimes will get the breakaway. There's two different kinds of situations with the breakaway. The deeper breakaway, where the man is up free, and the cardinal rule here is if you're free on your man, always get to your back. That does not mean that the goalkeeper is necessarily going to pass it to you, but get to your back so that he can see you there, and then it'll be up to the goalie. He may want to go deeper to start with, or in turn, if you're on a total one unknown breakaway, he'll probably hit you. In all cases, when we come out deep, we will take 2 or 3 strokes on our stomach, then roll to our back to take the ball and go down. We'll make this a one on no one all the way. Here he comes. He's up on his man, 3 or 4 strokes. He's onto his back. There's the eye contact. The pass puts him right on line, and we take it down and into a shot. Now, forgetting that he didn't make the goal, let me just simply say this, that he improved his angle on the cage, and in the counterattack, in our system of counterattack, and this is the only time we'd ever move anyone into the whole area, and that would be purely a one-on-no-one breakaway where you move to an angle that you've got the best shooting advantage against the goalkeeper. Now, when the breakaway comes out of alertness, we'll say, from a defensive situation, closer to mid-tank, we can't afford staying on our stomach for 1 or 2 or 3 strokes, because if we do, we'll be down on top of the goalie. This player must be totally aware of 2 things. He must get to his back immediately, and in turn he must be aware when he comes to his stomach to be looking to see immediately where that goalkeeper might be, in case the goalkeeper started to charge out to try to take the pass away. Here we go with the deep breakaway. He's immediately on his back. Goalkeeper steals the ball. The goalkeeper stayed at home. He's in, and we take the shot. From 1 on no one, we go to the next step up and the structure for 2 on 1. And when we go into the 2 on 1 structure, for the first time, we really established the lead break principle. We don't tend to think about lead break until it becomes 3 on 2 or 4 on 3, but in the 2 on 1 structure, obviously you have the 2 free players or the 1 free player spread away from the other. So you've really bracketed the goal, and you're not bringing them both in on the same side. They're going to spread so that a pass can be made to beat the goalkeeper with the pass or the threat of the pass, and we will look at the 2 on 1. But as we look at it, realize that this now establishes what we would call then the lead break principle for our higher numbers. All right, here we go. Here comes the counter. We're up 1 on nobody on the 1 side, but we now have defense back. He's on his back. The ball comes down. We've bracketed the goal, the cross pass, and the shot to the score. And again, here we have what we would call the lead break principle. Looking down at these players now, they are outside the cage at about 2.5 yards, 2.5 meters, and about 1 meter outside of each post of the cage. And this is where lead break goes in a game, but also in a 2 on 1. All I'm saying is that when we go 2 on 1, we have really established the first leg of the lead break principle. All right, we're going to look now at the next structure, the 3 on 2, which turns out to be a triangle. We are always establishing lead break. The first 2 men down are always lead break. They can square at 10, but if they can get there, if they're going to square at 10, it's to keep a 1 on no one alive. Otherwise, they'll square at about 7 just to see and, maybe even receive the ball. We'll show that in a minute. But they're going, because they're the first down, they will tie the defense down deep in the lead break principle. We always bring our free drive towards the middle, and in the 3 on 2, we create what we call the triangle structure. Let's take a look at it. Here they come. Lead break is breaking down with the defense on them. The free break's coming down the middle, and there's your triangle. No matter what the defense does in this case, we will have it covered. The defense could have attacked out from one of the deep places, and in that case, we just simply go to a front man with the ball. We'll look at another little different configuration. Many things can happen, but the same idea is true. Here goes the counterattack. We're coming down. This time the ball is going to go to the square out. Here comes the square on the left side. Ball is coming down. He's fouled. We're still up free. We bring the ball over across now because the defense attacked out. And again, we had the triangle principle, and with the defense tied down, in that case, we broke it down to 2 on 1. Now, again, later in the film, we will go through a lot of drills on this, but just showing the different structures. The highest number that we would go up to would be the 4 on 3, which calls for the rectangle structure. Again, the lead break gets established, and we work 2 on 1 on the outside. We don't try to counterattack 5 against 4 or 6 against 5, because a 6 against 5 is a 1 and no one advantage at the other end if you blow the shot, and the more numbers defensive you have back. It's hard enough to score 6 on 5 when you're in the set front court with the man permanently down, but when he's in the tank coming down from behind, it's not high percentage. 5 on 4 is the same situation. It's because they're 2 on 1 at the other end if you blow the shot. So we will take it to 4 on 3. I always say I like 100% on the 1 on no ones. The easier shot than 1 on no one is the 2 on 1, 100% there. I like to get the 3 on 2s in the 80th percentile. If we can do that, the 3 on 2s will win you a lot of ball games. 4 on 3, you're looking at about 65%. You've got to be cautious, but if you create it or can break it down into a 2 on 1 or a 1 on no one, from the rectangle structure, well, then you've got a high percentage shot. Again, let's look at the 4-on-3 structure. Here comes the lead break. We're coming out of the back tank. There's the ball with a free man. It's coming down. The rectangle keeps coming. We're penetrating hard, hard, hard. And again, the beautiful shot to the goal. And they did a nice job then of aggressively penetrating those last 7 meters in and to the shot. All right, we've worked on one unknown from the goalkeeper's pass. Let's look at one unknown from the square out. Now this will happen often, particularly when the ball gets down a little bit deeper. The goalkeeper may be afraid to make the pass directly to the free man, particularly if it's tight, particularly if the other goalie's cheating out. And when we're alert to this, if we run a square out on the side away, the field passer oftentimes has a much better angle to keep one unknown alive. We're looking at keeping one unknown alive with the square out. Here it comes. There's the tight square, and here's the pass down from the field player, and the second pass is on the money through and to the shot. Very, very nice. But another key one on no one, keep it alive pass. We'll run the same thing, only now because the ball is so much deeper, because the defensive man is closing harder, we may have to go to the dry pass. We always call it early wet, meaning if we can get it early and easy, the ball will be put on the water. But if it's late, we will put the ball dry, and the shooting side will simply fade away from the defensive player. We know exactly, the passer knows exactly where the offensive player will fade to, and we put the ball to that spot for the shot. Let's take a look at it, and here we go, late dry. There we come down the field. Here's going to be the deep square at about 10. Ball's delivered right on the money. We're pretty well covered, so we come across dry, we fade out, and we take the shot there. Very nice, good execution. Last thing we'll look at, and again, we have a very similar situation, but this time the ball is on the square out. We're scoring a little bit deeper, closer to 7. The ball is maybe a little bit long, but in all cases, the man scoring knows that no one's going to replace him at lead break. So in this case, he'll turn with the ball, attack in, and then make the cross pass himself, and we've really created the 2-on-1 or the lead break principle. Let's look at that. Here it comes. He's coming deep. He'll go about to 7. This is the deep one. The ball is thrown long. He takes it, beautiful pass right in. He comes cross cage, and again, we beat the goalie with the cross pass and the positioning. Very nice. All right, I think we have the Cardinal Rules down pretty well. Now let's make it work and really make the goalies figure this out. We're going to go to a situation that we call goalie recognition drill. Goalie recognition drill. We will set it up. There are 3 things that can happen. A player can be totally up. We know he goes to his back. He can be barely up. He will move in front of his man and try to get his man kicked out, and in this case, we do not throw the ball to this man. And finally, the third thing, and the only other thing that can happen, is a man can be covered, and we know when he's covered, if he's lead break, obviously he's still going to lead break position. If he's not, he's going to drive at least to midcourt extremely hard and square out. Take a look at the situation and go from there. We're going to look at the goalie recognition drill. Right, this drill starts at about 4 or 5 meters. It's a total goalie recognition. The 3 things that can happen in a counter that the goalie must be able to read. He's up, so he's on his back. He's barely up. He tries to get the man ejected. It takes no pass. He's not up. He squares out. These are the things that the goalie will see each time that he looks. And we're training the goalie to really look and recognize different situations. The defense will make the decisions for us. And in this drill, as we work it, the defense can do whatever they want. And that's good, because then the goalie has to figure it out and play it as if it were a real game. Here we go. The man on the bottom side of the screen is coming. It looks like he's going to be up free. He's on his back, and it's a lead pass and down, and we will take the shot. Okay, we bring the ball right back, or bring the right back. There's the whistle. Here comes another drive. Let's see what he's got. He's going to be barely up. He's got the man on his back. He will keep working him to get him kicked out. Let's bring it back down and see what the next man may do. Here we go. The whistle starts it. Looks like he's covered. We should see a square out, and there's the square. The ball delivered to the outside, and 2 more people. Let's see what they happen to do, the decisions they make. And again, it's totally for the goalie. Looks like we're going to be up. He's on his back. We throw the pass, lead him back on line, and we go for the shot. And finally, we will see what the final man is going to do. Looks he's working the man over. He's working for position. The goalkeeper now will not make the pass, will work to get the man ejected. And remember what I said earlier, a counter is a great method of getting people ejected from the game. All right, now we'll get ready to run some of the drills that make this thing work, and it's drilling, 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 drilling. One of the more advanced drills, but it's a fun drill. We put the blues and we put them up a man, and they are up at all times, and they're going to be able to counter in both directions. The blues are always on offense. Both goalkeepers have extra balls in the cage, and just simply, as soon as we shoot, we counter in the opposite direction. The goalkeeper must read what's out there. We will do this with 6 offensive players and 5 defensive players. We tell the defensive players to go to center water and don't always do the same thing. We don't always want to end up with a 1-on-1 at one end and 2-on-1 on the other. We want to create solutions for problems for the goalie to solve, and you can find out very quickly if your goalie is really thinking the system, if he can really read the cardinal rules of the counterattack. This is an excellent drill, the 6-on-5 drill. A whistle starts the drill. It looks to me like we've got 1 on nobody going in that direction. It was well read, a good pass. We come down to the shot, and here we go. We're looking at the other, and we're just going to go back and forth. And oh, we've got 2-on-1. A little wide on the pass, could have been trouble. Makes the cross pass to the shot. Whistle starts it. We're looking. Oh, it looks like now we're going to have a 3-on-2. Ball was thrown to the man on his back. Everything was read out well, and through to the shot, and we come the other direction, and we're covered, but we've got the lead break established. We got 3-on-2. We're still coming. It was a 3-on-2 all of the way. And, oh, now they've made it into a 4-on-3. I don't think that would have scored.
That last play in the 6-against-5 both direction counter drill should have stayed at 3-on-2 and in the triangle configuration. The players were trying to demo the 4-on-3 rectangle structure for purposes of the instructional tape. Actually, they had the defense beaten 3-on-2 and should have kept it that way. Hey, we'll take a better and more complete look at the 4-on-3 situation in Volume 2 of the counterattack. Now, as we move into Volume 2 of counterattacking, we'll take the individual fundamentals we've just learned in Volume 1 and put them into team drills, followed by game drills, and finally we'll finish with these concepts working in actual live game situations.